The smell of blood never leaves you. 18 years later, I can walk into a hospital and that copper-sweet smell hits me and I'm right back there. Omaha Beach, June 6th, 1944. Water red with blood, sand soaked with it, men bleeding faster than I could stop it. They ask me what it was like to be a hero. I tell them I wasn't a hero. Heroes charge machine gun nests. Heroes take objectives. I just tried to keep boys from dying on a beach in France. Most of the time, I failed. Name's Vincent Russo. Brooklyn, New York. Italian family. Big Catholic household. My old man wanted me to be a doctor like my uncle. I made it as far as pre-med at City College before the war came. Close enough, I guess. The Army made me a medic. They trained us at Fort Sam Houston in Texas. Taught us how to stop bleeding, treat shock, give morphine, stabilize wounds. Taught us how to save lives under fire. What they couldn't teach us was how to choose who lives and who dies when you don't have enough supplies, enough time, enough hands to save everyone. We shipped to England in early '44, got assigned to the 1st Infantry Division, the big red one. They'd already seen action in North Africa and Sicily. Veterans. They looked at us replacement medics like we were kids playing dress-up. They weren't wrong. The division medics, they tried to prepare us. Told us about the wounds we'd see, the sounds men make when they're dying, the way you have to shut off part of yourself or you'll go crazy. I nodded and listened and thought I understood. I didn't understand a goddamn thing. They locked us down in early June. We knew the invasion was coming. You could feel it, that electric tension of something massive about to break. We checked and rechecked our medical supplies. Bandages, morphine syrettes, sulfur powder, tourniquets, plasma. Never seemed like enough. Wasn't enough. June 5th, they briefed us, showed us maps of the beach, told us the plan. 5 sectors: Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juneau, Sword. We were going into Omaha with the 16th Infantry Regiment. The briefing officers said the beach would be secured quickly. Air bombardment would soften up the defenses. Naval guns would finish the job. We'd walk ashore, establish aid stations, treat casualties. Textbooked, I was 23 years old. Thought I was ready. Thought my training had prepared me for anything. I wasn't ready for Omaha Beach. Nobody was. We loaded onto the transports the night of June 5th. The channel was rough, choppy. Men got seasick almost immediately. The smell below decks was awful. Vomit, sweat, fear. Nobody slept much. I remember a kid next to me, infantry private from Ohio. Couldn't have been more than 19. He was clutching a rosary, praying in whispers. Asked me if I thought it would be bad. I don't know, I said. Only honest answer I had. He nodded. I'm scared. Me too. At 0300 hours, they served us breakfast, steak and eggs, last meal. Half the guys couldn't eat, either from seasickness or nerves. I forced some down, didn't know when I'd eat again. Around 0430, we transferred to the landing craft, LCVPS Higgins boats. 36 men packed into a small boat with a ramp at the front. I was with a platoon from Dog Company. My job was to land with them, stay with them, keep them alive. The boat dropped from the davits, hit the water hard. Waves crashed over the sides. Water sloshed around our boots. The engine roared. We started the run to the beach. 6 miles. 6 miles from the transport ship to shore. Takes about 30 minutes in calm water. Took us longer. The channel was rough, the boats pitching and rolling. More men got sick. The ones who weren't sick were praying or staring at nothing or checking their rifles for the 10th time. I went over my supplies again. Medical bag on my shoulder. Red Cross armband. Red Cross on my helmet. Geneva Convention said the enemy couldn't shoot medics. The Geneva Convention was a piece of paper that nobody on Omaha Beach had read. Through the fog and spray, I could see the coast of France. Dark shape on the horizon, getting closer. Could hear the naval bombardment, big guns from the battleships offshore pounding the beach, shells screaming overhead like freight trains. The platoon sergeant, guy named Miller, he looked at me. "Stay close to the boat, Doc. Get to cover fast. Don't try to be a hero." I nodded. My hands were shaking. I was terrified. The boat kept going, closer and closer to shore. The naval guns stopped firing. That sudden silence was worse than the noise had been. 0630 hours. H hour. The first wave was going in. We were in the second wave, right behind them. I could hear it starting. Machine guns, artillery, the sound of war, the sound of men dying. The coxswain throttled up. Our boat surged forward. We were going in. I remember thinking, this is it. This is really happening. The ramp dropped, and all hell broke loose. The ramp went down, and the machine guns opened up. The first 3 men out went down before they hit the water. Just crumpled, red mist in the air. The 4th man made it 2 steps. The 5th man turned around, trying to climb back into the boat. A bullet took him in the face. Everyone was screaming. Sergeant Miller was screaming, "Get off the boat! Get off the goddamn boat!" I jumped into the water. It was chest deep, cold, the weight of my medical bag trying to drag me down. Bodies floating past me. Men who'd gotten off other boats, already dead, bobbing in the surf like driftwood. Machine gun fire churning up the water. Mortars exploding. Artillery shrieking down. The noise was indescribable. A constant roar that pressed against your skull and made thinking impossible. I waded forward. Had to get to shore, had to get to cover. Men were falling all around me. The water was red. Actually red, not just tinged pink, but red like someone had poured paint into the ocean. Made it to the beach. Threw myself down behind one of the steel obstacles the Germans had planted in the sand. Couldn't catch my breath. Couldn't think. Just lay there while bullets snapped overhead and shells exploded and men screamed. A kid landed next to me. Infantry. He was hit. I could see blood spreading across his stomach. He looked at me with these wide, terrified eyes. "Doc," he said. "Doc, help me." That's when training took over. That's when I stopped being Vincent Russo from Brooklyn and became a medic. Shut off the fear. Shut off everything except the job. I crawled to him, tore open his jacket. Abdominal wound, bad one, could see intestines. He was going to die without surgery, and there was no surgery on this beach. I packed the wound as best I could, gave him morphine, held pressure. He was crying, calling for his mother. "You're going to be okay," I lied. "You're going to be fine." He died while I was holding him, just stopped breathing. His eyes stayed open, staring at the sky. No time to close them, no time for anything. More wounded everywhere. Men dragging themselves up the beach, trailing blood. Men lying in the surf, drowning because they couldn't move. Men with limbs blown off, faces gone, guts hanging out. I moved from one to the next. Tourniquets, bandages, morphine, sulfur powder on the wounds. Do what you can, move to the next one. Don't think, don't feel, just work. A corporal with his leg half gone. Tied off the femoral artery, packed the stump, gave him morphine. Marked an M on his forehead with blood so the next medic would know he'd already gotten a shot. A private with a sucking chest wound. Occlusive dressing to seal it. Couldn't do much else. He'd drown in his own blood eventually, but maybe he'd make it off the beach first. A sergeant with both hands blown off, bandaged the stumps. He was in shock, shaking, couldn't stop staring at where his hands used to be. Gave him morphine. Nothing else I could do. The wounded kept coming. The Germans had perfect fields of fire from the bluffs overlooking the beach. They were shooting down into us like we were fish in a barrel. Men couldn't advance, couldn't retreat. Just had to lie there and take it or run forward into the guns. I saw a tank get hit, brewed up, flames shooting out. The crew tried to bail out. Most of them were on fire, screaming. The smell of burning flesh mixed with the cordite and the salt and the blood. An engineer next to me stepped on a mine, just came apart, pieces everywhere. I was covered in him, in what used to be him. Keep moving, keep working, don't think about it. Found another medic, guy named Patterson from Tennessee. We worked together, moving up the beach, treating whoever we could reach. The red crosses on our helmets made us targets. Germans were shooting at us anyway. Geneva Convention meant nothing here. Patterson took one in the shoulder, spun him around, knocked him down. I got to him, bandaged it up. Not bad. Through and through, missed the bone. He'd live. Thanks, Doc, he said. Get back to the boats, I told him. You're done. He shook his head. Too many wounded. I'm staying. We kept working. By 800, maybe 900, I'd lost track of time. Some units had made it off the beach, blew gaps in the wire, climbed the bluffs, started taking out the German positions. The fire slackened a little. Not much, but enough. Engineers were trying to clear paths through the obstacles. Bulldozers pushing aside bodies to make room for more men to come ashore. More waves landing, more casualties. They'd established a collection point near the seawall, bringing the wounded there, sorting them. The ones who might make it got priority for evacuation. The ones who wouldn't, we made them comfortable. Morphine. Stay with them if we could. Let them know they weren't alone. I must have treated 50 men by noon. Maybe more. Lost count. Some I saved. Some I couldn't. Some were dead before I got to them. There was a kid, private, maybe 18, lying near the water. Both legs gone below the knee. He was conscious somehow. In shock, but conscious. Am I going to die, Doc? He asked me. I looked at his wounds. Looked at the tourniquets I'd tied. Looked at how pale he was, how much blood he'd lost. No, I said, you're going to make it. He smiled, actually smiled. Good. My mom would be real upset if I died. I stayed with him until they loaded him onto a DUKW to take him out to the hospital ship. Don't know if he made it. Hope he did. Hope I didn't lie to him. By late afternoon, the beach was secured. Sort of. Still taking artillery fire, still dangerous, but the worst was over. We'd gotten off the beach, paid for it in blood. Thousands of casualties on Omaha alone, but we'd done it. I sat down for the first time in hours, looked at my hands. They were covered in blood. My uniform was soaked with it. Blood in my hair, on my face, under my fingernails. I was 23 years old, and I'd seen more death in one day than most people see in a lifetime, and the day wasn't over yet. They established a battalion aid station inland, maybe half a mile from the beach. A bombed-out farmhouse, stone walls still partially standing. That's where they sent me around 1,700 hours. The wounded were everywhere, lying in rows on the ground, on stretchers propped against walls, groaning, screaming, crying, dying. The smell was overwhelming. Blood, shit, vomit, gangrene already starting in some of the wounds, and above it all, that cloying, sweet smell of death. There were maybe 6 medics and 2 doctors for hundreds of wounded. We were doing triage, sorting them into categories. Immediate, delayed, expectant. Expectant meant they were going to die, and there was nothing we could do, so we put them aside and focused on the ones we might save. That's what they don't tell you about being a medic. Sometimes you have to choose. This man or that man. Who gets the morphine when you're running out? Who gets evacuated first? Who you try to save and who you let die? I'd been trained for this. They'd taught us the principles of triage at Fort Sam Houston. But training doesn't prepare you for looking a 20-year-old kid in the eyes and deciding he's expectant, that you're going to let him die so you can save someone else. There was a sergeant, big red 1, patch on his shoulder, 3 combat chevrons, multiple fragment wounds, belly, chest, legs, bad internal bleeding. He needed a surgeon, a hospital, things we didn't have. "How bad is it, Doc?" he asked me. I looked at his wounds, looked at the other wounded, waiting. Did the math in my head. "Not good," I said, "but we're going to do everything we can." We both knew what that meant. I gave him morphine, made him comfortable, moved on to the next one. He died an hour later. I watched him go. Couldn't even stop to close his eyes. A corporal with his jaw shot off. Couldn't talk, couldn't breathe right. Tried to do an emergency tracheotomy with a pocket knife and a pen tube. Hands shaking so bad I could barely hold the knife. Somehow got it done. He lived. Small victory in an ocean of death. A private with both legs mangled. Needed amputation, needed it now, but we couldn't do it here. Gave him plasma, morphine, sent him back to the beach for evacuation. Don't know if he made it to the ship before he bled out. The cases blurred together. Faces, wounds, blood, all the same after a while. Just meat that needed fixing, problems that needed solving. Had to think of them that way or I'd go crazy. Couldn't think of them as people, as someone's son or brother or husband. Just casualties, just wounds. Patterson was still working, blood seeping through the bandage on his shoulder. One of the doctors tried to send him back. He refused. Too many wounded, not enough hands. We needed everyone. Around midnight, they brought in a German prisoner, wounded, shot in the leg and side. He was maybe 19, blonde, terrified. He was crying, saying things I couldn't understand. Some of the infantry wanted to leave him, let him die. He was the enemy. He'd been shooting at us that morning. Why waste supplies on him? The doctor looked at me. "Rousseau, you take him." I treated his wounds, same as I'd treated everyone else. Cleaned them, bandaged them, gave him morphine. He grabbed my hand, held it tight, said something in German. Es tut mir leid, I think. I'm sorry. I nodded. "Yeah, kid, me too." He lived. We sent him back with the other prisoners. Don't know what happened to him after that. Hope he made it home eventually. The stream of wounded never stopped. More men from the push inland. More casualties from German counterattacks. More artillery, more mines, more blood. By dawn on June 7th, I'd been awake for over 24 hours, working non-stop, hands raw from scrubbing blood off between cases, uniform stiff with it. The aid station looked like a slaughterhouse, blood everywhere, discarded bandages in piles, amputated limbs in a heap outside, and the bodies. We'd run out of places to put them. Had to stack them outside the aid station. Our own dead. Men I'd tried to save and couldn't. One of them was Sergeant Miller, the guy who'd told me to stay close to the boat. He'd made it off the beach, made it a whole day, took a shell fragment that evening, tore open his femoral artery, bled out in minutes. Nothing I could do, nothing anyone could do. I found a quiet corner and sat down. Just sat there, staring at nothing. Couldn't cry, couldn't feel anything. Just numb, completely numb. Patterson sat down next to me, offered me a cigarette. I don't smoke, never have, but I took it. We sat there in silence, smoking, watching the sun come up over Normandy. "How many you think we lost?" he asked. "Too many," I said. He nodded. "How many you think we saved?" "Not enough." We sat there until someone called for us. More wounded coming in, more work to do. We put out the cigarettes and went back to it. Because that's what you do. You keep working. You save who you can. You let the rest go. And you try not to think about it. But the thinking comes anyway, late at night, in quiet moments, in dreams. It always comes. We stayed at that aid station for 3 days. 3 days of constant casualties, constant work, constant death. By June 9th, when they finally rotated us out, I'd treated maybe 300 men, maybe more. Lost count after the first 100. They sent us back to England for 48 hours rest. Rest. Like 2 days could erase what we'd seen, what we'd done. I slept for 14 hours straight. When I woke up, I could still smell the blood. Realized it was under my fingernails, in my hair, soaked into my skin. Took 3 showers before I felt even close to clean. Then they sent us back. Back to France. Back to the war. We followed the advance inland. Hedgerow fighting, village to village, field to field. Every day more casualties. Mine wounds, mortar fragments, machine gun fire, grenades. The wounds changed, but the work stayed the same. Stop the bleeding, treat the shock, get them to the rear, hope they survive. I got good at it. Too good. Could tell at a glance who would make it and who wouldn't. Could do a tourniquet in 30 seconds. Could give morphine and move on to the next casualty without breaking stride. Became a machine. Had to. The alternative was breaking down, and we couldn't afford that. There was a kid in July, replacement, fresh from the States. Took a mine, lost both legs at mid-thigh. He was screaming, thrashing, in agony. I gave him morphine, gave him more, kept giving it to him until he stopped screaming, stopped thrashing, stopped breathing. Officially, he died from his wounds. Unophically, I'm not sure. The morphine I gave him, the amount I gave him, I don't know if I was treating his pain or ending it. I think about that sometimes. Think about all the morphine I gave out, all the doses that maybe were a little too much. Mercy or murder? I still don't know. Patterson didn't make it. Caught a shell fragment in the neck in late July near St. Lo. Bled out in seconds. I was 50 yards away, couldn't get to him in time. Another medic gone, another friend dead. They kept sending replacements, fresh medics who thought they were ready, who thought they could handle it. Most of them broke within a week, saw too much, couldn't process it, shut down. The ones who didn't break became like me, machines that looked human but weren't, not really. By August, we'd pushed through France. Paris was liberated. The war was moving fast now, Germans falling back, us advancing. The casualties kept coming, but the nature of them changed. More from exhaustion, more from accidents, fewer from actual combat. We were winning. Didn't feel like winning, just felt like surviving one more day. In September, we crossed into Belgium. I'd been a combat medic for 3 months. Felt like 3 years. Felt like a lifetime. There was a church in some Belgian town. I don't remember the name. They all blurred together. They'd turned it into an aid station. I was treating a wounded infantry captain when I just stopped. Couldn't move. Couldn't think. Just froze. The captain was talking to me. Doc? Doc, you okay? I looked at my hands, covered in blood. Always covered in blood. Couldn't remember what they looked like clean anymore. I can't, I said. I can't do this anymore. They pulled me off the line, sent me to a field hospital for evaluation. Diagnosis, combat fatigue. What they'd called shell shock in the First War. What we'd call PTSD later. Then it was just combat fatigue. And the treatment was rest and getting sent back to the line. I was at the hospital for a week, slept most of it. When I was awake, I just stared at the ceiling. Couldn't eat, couldn't talk, just nothing. A psychiatrist came to see me, asked me questions. How many wounded had I treated? How many had died? How did I feel about it? How did I feel? I didn't feel anything. That was the problem. I'd shut off my feelings so completely that I couldn't turn them back on. He said I'd be fine. Said I just needed rest. Said they'd send me back to duty in a few days. I went back. What else could I do? The war didn't stop because I was broken. Men kept getting wounded. Someone had to treat them. But I wasn't the same. Couldn't be. Something in me had shattered in that church in Belgium, and I knew it would never be whole again. We pushed into Germany in the fall. The fighting got worse as we got closer to the fatherland. Germans defending their homeland, fighting harder, dying harder. More casualties, more work, more death. I kept going through the motions, bandages, morphine, tourniquets. Save who you can, let the rest go. Don't think, don't feel, just work. By the time Germany surrendered in May 1945, I'd been a combat medic for 11 months, treated maybe 2,000 casualties, maybe more, saved some, lost count of how many of each. They gave me a Bronze Star. For valor, they said. For saving lives under fire. I looked at the medal and felt nothing. What was valor? I'd just been trying not to die while keeping other people from dying. That's not valor. That's just survival. We stayed in Germany for occupation duty. No more casualties to treat, not really. Just routine medical work. Should have been easy. Should have been a relief. But I couldn't do it. Couldn't treat a sprained ankle or a cold without seeing the wounds from Omaha Beach. Couldn't give a routine shot without my hands shaking. Couldn't function. They sent me to a hospital again. Same diagnosis, same treatment. Rest. You'll be fine. Go back to work. I never went back to work, not as a medic. By the time they shipped me home in September 1945, I was done, finished, used up. I got home to Brooklyn in late September 1945, autumn in New York. The leaves were turning, the air was crisp, beautiful, normal, everything I'd been fighting to get back to. It felt like another planet. My family threw a party. Welcome home, the conquering hero. Everyone wanted to hear about the war, about France, about what it was like to save lives. They asked if I was proud of what I'd done. I excused myself, went to the bathroom, and threw up. Couldn't stop shaking. Couldn't breathe. The walls were closing in. My mother found me on the bathroom floor 20 minutes later. Took one look at my face and sent everyone home. She didn't ask what was wrong. I think she knew. Her brother had come back from the First War the same way, and I tried to go back to school, pre-med, picking up where I left off in 1942. Thought maybe I could still be a doctor, could still save lives, could still make something good come out of all that death. Lasted 2 weeks. Couldn't sit in the classroom. Couldn't focus on the lectures. Every time the professor talked about anatomy, I saw the wounds. Every time we studied blood circulation, I was back on that beach watching men bleed out. I dropped out. Never went back. Tried to work. My uncle got me a job at his practice, administrative work. Filing, scheduling, nothing medical. Thought maybe I could handle that. Couldn't. The smell of the clinic, antiseptic, rubbing alcohol, that clean medical smell, it set me off. Panic attacks. Couldn't breathe. Had to leave. By early 1946, I wasn't working, wasn't in school, wasn't doing much of anything, just existing, going through motions. My family was worried but didn't know how to help. How could they? They hadn't been there, hadn't seen what I'd seen. I started drinking. Not much at first, just a little something to help me sleep, to quiet the dreams. Then more, then a lot more. Wake up shaking, have a drink. Nightmares, have a drink. Memories, have a drink. By 1947, I was drinking every day, all day. My family tried to intervene, tried to get me help. The VA wasn't much use. Too many broken veterans, not enough resources. Go to meetings, they said. Talk about it. It'll get better. It didn't get better. It got worse. I met Angela in 1948. She was a nurse at the VA hospital where I was trying to dry out. She'd been a Navy nurse during the war, served in the Pacific. She understood in a way most people couldn't. We got married in 1949. She knew what she was getting into. I told her I was broken, that I'd probably always be broken. She married me anyway. We're all broken, she said. We just have to figure out how to live with it. She helped me get sober. Took years, but eventually I managed it. Stopped drinking in 1952. 7 years after I came home, I finally stopped trying to drown it all in alcohol. But being sober didn't fix anything, just made it clearer, made the memories sharper, made me more aware of how broken I really was. We had a daughter in 1953, Maria, beautiful little girl. I loved her more than anything, but I was terrified of her too, terrified I'd hurt her somehow, that my brokenness would poison her. Angela was patient. She understood the nightmares, the flashbacks, the days I couldn't get out of bed. She'd seen her own horrors in the Pacific. We were both survivors trying to figure out how to live in a world that hadn't been to war. I found work eventually. Got a job at a warehouse loading trucks, manual labor. Nothing to think about. Just lift, carry, load, repeat. It was all I could handle. My daughter asked me once what I did in the war. She was 7, learning about D-Day in school. The teacher had told them about the brave soldiers who stormed the beaches. I was a medic, I told her. I helped wounded soldiers. Did you save a lot of people? She asked. I looked at her innocent face, her bright eyes. How do you tell your child that, yes, you saved some people, but you watched hundreds die, that you had to choose who lived and who died, that you're haunted by every face, every wound, every scream? Some, I said. I saved some. She smiled. That's good, Daddy. You're a hero. I'm not a hero. Heroes are the guys who charged up those bluffs under machine gun fire. Heroes are the ones who died on that beach. I just tried to clean up the mess afterward. 18 years. That's how long it's been since Omaha Beach. June 6th, 1944 to June 6th, 1962. 18 years, and I still can't walk into a hospital without my hands starting to shake. They want me to talk about it now. There's a historian writing a book about D-Day, wants to interview medics, wants to know what it was like to treat the wounded on the beach, wants me to tell him about the heroes I saved. I don't know how to tell him there were no heroes on that beach. Just scared boys trying to survive, and medics trying to keep them alive, and most of us failing more often than we succeeded. Angela thinks I should do the interview, says it might help to talk about it. I've never really told her the details. She knows the broad strokes, knows I was there, knows it was bad. But the specifics, I've kept those locked away for 18 years. Maybe she's right. Maybe talking about it will help. But I don't think so. Some things don't get better with talking. Some things just are. My daughter Maria is 9 now. Bright kid, wants to be a teacher. She knows her dad was in the war, knows he was a medic, knows he doesn't like to talk about it. She's stopped asking questions. Maybe that's for the best. I see the other guys sometimes. Veterans from the Big Red One. We have reunions every few years. Drink beer, tell stories, laugh about things that weren't funny. It's easier with them. They understand. They were there. But even with them, there are things I can't say. Can't tell them about the morphine doses I gave out, about the men I triaged as expectant, about the choices I made. They'd understand, probably. But saying it out loud would make it real in a way I can't handle. I went back to work at the warehouse after Maria was born. Still there. It's good work, honest work. No decisions about life and death. Just lift, carry, load. I can do that. I can handle that. Some days are harder than others. Days when something triggers a memory, a smell, a sound, something on the news. Those days I come home, and Angela knows to give me space. She doesn't push, just lets me work through it. The nightmares never stopped. Still have them 2-3 times a week. Always the same. I'm on the beach treating wounded, but I can't save anyone. They all die, all of them, and I can't stop it. Wake up in a cold sweat, hands shaking, Angela holding me until I calm down. 18 years and it's still the same. I wonder sometimes about the men I treated. How many survived? How many are living normal lives now, raising families, working jobs, never thinking about the medic who patched them up on a beach in France? Hope it's a lot. Hope most of them made it. But I know the statistics. I know how many died from their wounds, how many didn't make it off the beach, how many bled out before we could get them to the ships. The smell of blood never leaves you. I said that at the beginning, and it's still true. 18 years later, I can't walk into a butcher shop, can't handle the smell of raw meat, can't watch Angela cook without having to leave the room sometimes. She understands, doesn't ask me to explain, just accommodates it, works around it. That's love, I guess. Not demanding explanations, just accepting the brokenness. My uncle, the doctor, he retired last year, offered to help me go back to school if I wanted. Said it wasn't too late to become a doctor, that I had the experience, the knowledge. I told him thanks, but no. That part of my life is over. The boy who wanted to be a doctor died on Omaha Beach. What came back is something else. There's a memorial they're planning for D-Day veterans. They want medics to attend, to be honored along with the infantry. I don't know if I'll go. Don't know if I can stand there while they talk about heroism and sacrifice and the greatest generation. We weren't the greatest generation. We were just kids who got thrown into hell and somehow survived. Some of us barely. Some of us not at all, even if our bodies kept breathing. I think about that German kid sometimes, the prisoner I treated. Wonder if he made it home, if he's living in Germany somewhere, raising his own family, trying to forget the war. Hope he is. Hope he got to forget in a way I never could. Angela asked me last night if I regretted it. Being a medic, going to Omaha Beach, all of it. I thought about it for a long time before I answered. No, I said finally. If I hadn't been there, who would have treated them? Who would have tried to save them? But did it cost you too much? She asked. I looked at her, at this woman who'd stood by me through the drinking and the nightmares and the broken years. Looked at my daughter asleep in the next room. Yeah, I said. It cost me too much, but I'd do it again. Someone had to. That's the truth of it. Someone had to be there. Someone had to try to save them. I'm glad it was me instead of someone else, even if it broke me. Even if I'll never be whole again. The smell of blood never leaves you. The memories never fade. The faces of the dead never stop haunting you. That's the price of being a medic. That's what they don't tell you when they pin the medals on your chest. You save some, you lose some. And the ones you lose, they stay with you forever. In your dreams, in your waking moments, in the smell of blood that you can never quite wash away. 18 years later, I'm 41 years old. Got a wife, a daughter, a job. Got a life that looks normal from the outside. And most days, I can almost pretend that it is. But then I smell blood, or I see a wound on TV, or I hear about soldiers dying somewhere. And I'm right back there. Omaha Beach, June 6th, 1944. 23 years old and trying to keep boys from dying faster than they were killing them. The historian called again yesterday. Still wants to interview me. Says it's important to preserve these stories before all the veterans are gone. Maybe I'll do it. Maybe I'll try to put it into words. What it was like, what I saw, what I did. Maybe someone needs to hear it. Maybe it matters that people know. Or maybe some things should stay locked away. Maybe some horrors are meant to die with the men who witnessed them. I haven't decided yet. Still thinking about it. Still trying to figure out if I can go back there, even just in memory. If I can open those doors I've kept closed for 18 years. The smell of blood never leaves you, and 18 years later I still can't look at a beach without seeing it red.